Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Three and Out. Today we are talking about Big Ten football. If you guys have followed us for a while, last week we talked about the SEC win totals. Today we are talking about the Big Ten projected win totals for the upcoming 2023 college football season. Before we get into this thing, gentlemen, how we doing? Mr. Nash, how you feeling?
Feeling good. I had a lot of fun with this one last week. Stirred up a little controversy, especially in some of the comments we got. You got to love it. But I'm looking forward to stirring up a little more controversy, hopefully, in this one.
Oh yeah. Noah, how you feeling?
Feeling good. I'm ready to get back to it. Last week was a lot of fun. I love seeing people telling us we have bad opinions, but obviously we are the only correct opinion on the
Yeah.
internet. What we say goes, obviously. So don't even try to debate us. Actually,
Yeah.
do
I mean,
I love the discourse.
yeah. No, it's nice. Just remember, guys, this is
Yes.
objective. This is
Mhm.
completely objective. This,
Yep.
this is fact.
There's no such thing as opinions in this world, right? Oh man, but yeah, today we're talking Big Ten projected win totals. And before we do, let us know in the comments down below what are your predictions, excuse me, for the 2023 college football season when it comes to the Big Ten? Who's going to win the conference? Who's going to win the conference championship? And of course, who's winning the game, Ohio State versus Michigan? Let us know all that and more in the comments down below, and consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. But ladies and gentlemen, we're diving right in, starting at the bottom. We got Rutgers. Their projected win total for the upcoming season is 3.5. Some sports books don't even have odds for them because it's Rutgers, and why waste time, right? If you look at their schedule, I think they can win 4 games on this thing, personally. They play Wagner at one point. They play Temple. They play Northwestern at home. They've got, actually, it's tough. 3.5 is a really solid
This is
line.
tough.
3.5 is a solid line. I don't know. Noah, how do you feel?
Yeah, obviously I don't watch a lot of Rutgers football.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like when they joined the Big Ten, this was more so a basketball edition because I mean they're from what I hear are a pretty solid college basketball program. Make the tournament every so often, but yeah, for football, they haven't been relevant at least in the last 10, 15 years, probably longer before that. Looking at their schedule though, I could maybe see 3 wins. Virginia Tech's kind of a wild card. It kind of depends on what kind of year the Hokies have. I kind of want to go under. I just think, you know, they play Iowa, who is always tough defensively. They play Penn State, they play Ohio State, Michigan, even Michigan State and Wisconsin. Like they're not favorites by any means, but they're still, solid, formidable Big Ten teams. So I think it's going to be a rough year. So I'll go under. Brandon, what do you think?
Yeah, I might lean under as well. I mean, looking at their schedule, it's kind of tough. I mean, I think I'm looking at one logo. I think that's probably Wagner, like Chris just said. So they probably pick up a win there. Honestly, I don't know how good Temple is. I guess I can pencil them in for a win there, but I'm not even 100% on that. I mean, like we were saying, they didn't, in some books, they don't even have odds right now. Right. And then so you got maybe 2 wins right there. And the rest of it is tough. I mean, you're playing teams like Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. I mean, the only ones realistically, I think, where they could maybe split is, they play Indiana and Northwestern, which, they kind of share those same win odds. You could pick up another win there, but I don't know. I could see them winning 3 games. I could see them sitting at the under, definitely there.
Go ahead and book them for the under. I see them beating Wagner. Temple went 3-9 last year. I think they pick up a win there at home. I also think they open the season with a win versus Northwestern. So then it's going to be a rough stretch. They could definitely. I think their ceiling is 5 wins. But I'm comfortable going 3-9 for them this year. They have some tough road games and they host Ohio State and Maryland, Michigan State. Those are all losses. I think Virginia Tech will also take care of business. So that's all I got to say about the Scarlet Knights.
Not
Anyway,
much else.
though, moving on to the Hoosiers of Indiana, they are also at 3.5, which is pretty bizarre. I would think Indiana would be like 4.5 to 5. Looking at their schedule for this year, it's interesting. They've got some really, really easy out of conference games. Week 2, they got Indiana State. That's a win. They got Akron week 4. That's a win. Those are 2 wins. So we're
Yep.
close, right? Typically, they pick up a win that they shouldn't. I feel like they can play spoiler sometimes. But then you look at their schedule, they go to Illinois, they go to Penn State, they go to Michigan, they go to Maryland, they host Ohio State. That's a loss. They play Louisville. This is worth noting in Indianapolis. That's a neutral site.
That's
a winnable football game. I could see them beating Maryland or Rutgers. Honestly, I see Indiana going 4 or 5 wins. I have them at the over personally. Noah, how do you feel?
Yeah. Again, teams in the Big Ten East, you got the 4 obvious, choices, and then there's the remaining 3, Rutgers, Maryland, and Indiana, kind of between a rock and a hard place. Looking at Indiana's schedule, yeah, I kind of agree with that. I could see them pulling 4 wins out. You never know. But the worst thing they ever did, and the best thing Michael Penix ever did, was leave Indiana.
Absolutely.
That man made what a choice that man made. I mean, we'll probably do Pac-12 win totals here in the next few weeks. But yeah, Michael Penix, what a business decision. Good for him. But yeah, I'm willing to go over in Indiana.
If you're wondering, by the way, they went 4-8 last year, so that would be over technically.
Yeah.
They beat Illinois, so that's an impressive win. And then they snagged an overtime win, but yeah, they go on some losing streaks. So,
that's an impressive one against Illinois. Yeah, I could see over. Like y'all were saying, I mean, there's, they got a couple of out of conference games that they have, so I'm seeing at the very least 2 wins here. So then it's a matter of, can they win 2 more games? And I think there's some games outside of, say, Penn State, Michigan, and that's really it. Penn State and Michigan. I think the rest of them, I think realistically, they could pick up a win, like, against a Purdue or an Illinois or Wisconsin or Rutgers. I think they'll beat Rutgers. So I think they at least pick up 2 wins. I think I agree with Chris. I could see them having 4 or 5 wins here. So I like the over.
Well, there you have it.
Watch them shock the world. You see them shock the world week 1, beat Ohio State. That'd be wild.
That would be insanity. Moving on, though, we've got a team that stunk it up last year. They actually went 1-11. The Northwestern Wildcats. This year, there's no way they're only going to win 1 game. They're gonna have some sort of improvement. They play. Let's see. They're out of conference. They've got Howard at one point in the season. That's a win. So that's 1.
Interesting.
UTEP is a winnable football game. I think that's 2. And then you look at the rest of their schedule, and it's like, they might actually. I don't know. Honest to God, I think they're probably going to win 3 football games, so I have them at the under.
It's an improvement from last year.
Yeah. They have to beat Duke on the road or like Nebraska on the road to have a shot. But other than that, this is a brutal schedule for the Wildcats in terms of their level of talent. I go 3 wins max for this team. How do you feel, Noah?
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, looking at their schedule, I think they win 1 game. Like Duke on the road. I mean, Duke is like a middling ACC squad. Duke will beat them. It's a home game early in the season. For a team like Duke, like you gotta have that one. UTEP, very good team. I mean, they're not Power 5, obviously, but they're pretty solid. So that's a tough draw out of conference for those Wildcats. And I mean, Rutgers at home week 1, or sorry, on the road. My mistake. Yeah, I mean, on the road, that one's kind of a toss up to me. I know we just discussed Rutgers, but yeah, I think the winner of that game is going to go over their win total, and the loser is going to go under. So
that'll be a big deciding factor.
Yeah, I'm cool with under for them though.
Brandon,
how you feeling under?
I'm cool with under. I'm not the foremost expert on Northwestern football, to be honest with you. I mean, they won 1 game last season. They'll do better than that, but I don't think they're going over 3. Like you said, they play Howard. There's a win there. I mean, if you're trying to schedule someone out of conference, I wouldn't go with UTEP. Not, a winnable game, but not as favorable as maybe you'd think. And then the rest of it's tough. I think, like y'all were saying, that week 1 matchup with Rutgers is going to be pivotal. Whoever wins that game will most likely hit their win total at 3.5. I think that'd be a fun one to watch week 1, kind of both bouncing off of not 2 not so great seasons. So we'll see. I'm willing to put under for Northwestern here just because of how the schedule looks right now.
Let's do it then. There you have it. Wild how bad some of these Big Ten teams are, by the way. Just insane. We did one for the SEC last week, and I think that there was only one team with a projected win total that was like 3.5, and it might have been like Vandy or something. Other than that, they were all like 5.5 or higher. So people want to compare conferences. That might just be proof that the SEC is the real king of conferences. Moving on, though, we've got the Boilermakers of Purdue with a projected win total of 5.5 wins. You look at their schedule, and you got to think that's achievable, right? With the way that Purdue made the conference championship last year versus Michigan, the way they're able to play Spoilermaker every year, it seems they open versus Fresno State. That's winnable. Syracuse at home is very winnable. Virginia Tech is winnable. I mean, they could take down pretty much any of these middle tier Big Ten teams. I just see Purdue making a bowl minimum. That's 6 wins. I go over with the Boilermakers. How do you feel, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see them. They'll probably make a bowl. As far as though out of conference goes, there's not really anybody that stands out that's a bad team here. I'd say, the worst team they have on here is Fresno State, and they're no pushover as far as, when you're scheduling somebody. And then they have Virginia Tech. So it's interesting. But I think, but they'll do what they have done in the past. They'll probably win 1 or 2 games they shouldn't win on here, right? And I think, I don't know. I agree with you. I think they end up bowl eligible at the very least.
Six,
So
seven
I like
wins.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably right around where they sit. I mean, I'm sure that's usually where they sit. So I'd be comfortable saying that.
Noah?
I like that. Yeah. Looking at their first 3 weeks, I mean, Fresno has some good teams every once in a while, so you never know what that one is going to be. Virginia Tech, I'm looking at the schedules. Virginia Tech plays Purdue and Rutgers back to back. That's pretty wild. And then Syracuse, a team that was ranked last year, going into that Clemson game, they almost pulled it out. But yeah, those first 3 games are going to be pretty telling. Like if you go 2-1 through those first 3, I think you're well on your way to hitting your win total. But if they struggle out the gate, go 1-2 or 0-3, I think it could be some trouble for them heading into Big Ten play. But I think Purdue, I think they're going to play Spoilermaker this year for one of these 2 big dogs in the Big Ten East, Ohio State and Michigan. So you never know. I think they hit their win total though.
Love to hear it. Yeah, I got them at like 6, 7 wins. So let's go ahead and mark them for the OVA, baby. Tuck coming because we're moving on to Michigan State, baby. Their projected win total is 5.5 wins. This is a fan base that loves to talk smack online and can't really back it up with their football team's play. We look at their 2023 schedule. There's winnable football games here. You got Central Michigan and Richmond to open the season. Those are 2 wins. You host Washington. I don't know how I feel about that. Host Maryland at Iowa. Look later on, Indiana's a winnable football game. Rutgers is a winnable football game. I have 4 bare bones wins here. So can they scrape together 2 more? It's kind of tough. Brandon, how do you feel about the Spartans this year?
I don't know, because they're interesting. I came in last season pretty high on them. That disappeared rather quickly. I don't know. I think we mentioned this before, but a little bit of a wake up call gambling wise when we realized Michael Penix was on Washington. So we'll talk more about Washington when we get over to the Pac-12. I like them a lot. They have some winnable football games here. Mel Tucker over there. Love Mel Tucker. I think they could definitely turn it around this season. I don't know off the top of my head what they went last season. I don't think they won 6 games. I think that they could reach that this year. This is interesting. I mean, you open week 1, week 2, 2 winnable games, 2 games they should win. And then looking at the rest of it, there's some toss-ups. If you're Michigan State, you're hoping you beat the teams like, Rutgers and Indiana, both away games, but still. And then I don't know. It's a tough draw. They host Michigan, they host Nebraska. Some winnable games. I could see them being bowl eligible, but I want to hear what y'all think.
I actually have them at 6 wins personally. Last year they went 5-7. One of those losses was to Indiana in double overtime. That's a winnable game. I think they pull 6 this year. I just really do. 6 minimum, maybe 7. I like the over for the Spartans. How do you feel, Noah?
Yeah, I think this is a prove it year for our boy Mel Tucker. I think, obviously having Washington as your out of conference games it's that one's going to be ugly in my opinion, but I don't know. You never know what could happen. That back half of the schedule is looking a little daunting with the three Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. I think I think their absolute ceiling for me is probably 8-4, maybe 9-3. I just think there's a lot of good teams on that schedule, especially in the back half. So I think I could definitely see them being bowl eligible. Maybe not contending for the Big Ten East, but definitely bowl eligible.
Yeah. Brandon, do you agree?
I agree. I like it.
There you
Let's
have it.
pencil it in.
Yeah, I think 6-6 sounds right for them. Moving on, though, we've got a team with a new blood coming in. Matt Rule, the new head coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Their projected win total is 6 on the dot, 6 wins. So this is tougher. We don't have that half game. We got to go 5 wins or 7 wins, or I guess we could break even if we wanted to and really
we could
go that route. Nebraska, this is a rebuild year, essentially. This is I don't expect much from them this year is what I'm trying to say. They got Jeff Sims, the quarterback from Georgia Tech, is going to be their guy, but I look at their schedule. I think they have a winnable game versus Northern Illinois, a winnable game versus Louisiana Tech. I mean, Big Ten play is going to be tough, though. No lie. It's going to be tough. They're going to lose to Michigan, but I mean, you look at it, they don't play Ohio State. They don't play Penn State. They don't play even, they have winnable games here. Northwestern's a win, I see. You get up there, I think 5, 6, 7, we're in that ballpark. Noah, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, looking at the Big Ten West, it's the worst division in football. I mean, this year is essentially its victory lap, its farewell tour before the Big Ten moves to divisionless scheduling. But yeah, essentially, someone has to win this division, right? In my opinion, it's either going to be Wisconsin or it's going to be Nebraska for both programs with new head coaches. I think looking at Nebraska, though, honestly, I think Minnesota's going to upset them week 1. That's a Thursday night. PJ Fleck needs a statement win to keep rowing the boats. So I think they lose that one, especially because it's on Thursday night too, away.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Brutal. August football.
Tough. Yeah, I think they beat Colorado, and then then it's essentially you never know with the Big Ten scheduling. But honestly, looking at the other teams in the West, I think they're better than all but probably 1 or 2 of these teams. So I think 6 is a good number. I think they go 5 wins.
I'm thinking 5 and 7 after giving that schedule a glance. 5
I'm
seems
like looking at
appropriate.
it. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. Brandon, how do you feel? 5, 6,
Yeah.
7?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, if we're going over or under, I'd probably go under. I think there's a decent chance for them to push this if we're sitting at 6. But I mean, like you were saying, Noah, the Big Ten West is not very good. I mean, looking at the teams that comprise it, I'd say they have a shot against just about anybody in that division. But it's kind of tough looking at it. Michigan, and I don't know, man. I think I could go with y'all at 5. I think that would be suitable for them. So call it under.
Let's do it. Under for the Cornhuskers. Moving on, though, we're staying in that West division of the Big Ten. We've got the Minnesota Golden Gophers, I believe is their mascot. They were projected win total 6.5. PJ Fleck still kicking it over there as the head coach. Look, you look at their schedule, they have some brutal games. They go to Ohio State, they go to Purdue, they host Michigan, they go to North Carolina. Those are all losses, probably.
Yeah.
That's tough. But then you look at some winnable games. Nebraska at home, Eastern Michigan at home, Louisiana at home, Illinois at home is a winnable football game. I don't know. I feel like it's right on that line. 6.5 is a great line. I mean, 6 or 7, that's where I have them at. And it comes down to these big games. Can they pull off an upset? Brandon, how you feeling? I know you're a big PJ Fleck guy.
I do like PJ Fleck. They draw some tough games here. On the road at North Carolina, that's a loss. I mean, they play on the road at Ohio State. That's another loss. What are we at, 6.5? I find myself saying this a lot, and it's true for the most part with Vegas. But It's a good line, honestly. I don't know. I could maybe sit under here. I could see maybe, you win 6 games, you get bowl eligible. I don't know. That's tough because there's definitely some winnable games here. I believe that's Louisiana and then Eastern Michigan and then Northwestern. So there's 3. But after that, I mean, we're at 6.5 and need 4 more wins after that. I just don't know if I see them getting to 7 wins with the schedule.
It's tough. I like him at 6 right now. How do you feel, Noah?
Yeah, I'm just looking at that back half of the schedule by Big Ten standards. That's we could call that a mini gauntlet. I'll leave it there. Yeah, at Iowa, I mean, solid defense, no matter how piss poor the offense is going to be. Solid defense played in Iowa, and then Michigan State. Don't know about them. Illinois won 9-10 games last year. Purdue, spoiler makers, Ohio State, and then Wisconsin. Like that's a brutal stretch. But looking
totally. I mean, look at the back half of their schedule, right? That's 6 games after the bye. Say they go 3-3 in the back half, which would be pretty impressive.
You're lucky. You're lucky to split.
Yeah. And then you look at the front half, Michigan's a loss, or excuse me, Michigan's a loss. I think North Carolina's a loss.
Yep.
Nebraska, I mean, I think their ceiling here is 7 wins.
Yeah, I agree.
So I like them under.
I like them under too.
Yeah, 6 wins seems right.
Yep.
It's tough. It's tough out here for some of these mid teams. Oh, man. Moving on, though, we've got Bielema, right? He's still kicking in as the head coach over there at Illinois, I believe. So,
yes, sir.
Fighting Illini. We look at their schedule. They've got Toledo to open. They go to Kansas week 2. They got Penn State week 3. I could see them being 1-2. I could see them being 2-1. Then they got Florida Atlantic at Purdue later in the season. I mean, they don't draw some of the big dogs from this conference. They have a fairly favorable schedule, actually. They got Indiana and Northwestern at home. Maryland's a winnable game. Wisconsin with a new coach. I don't know. I might like him at around 7-8 wins. How do you feel, Noah? I know you're kind of a Bielema guy.
Yeah, run the damn ball, bro. That's I like Bielema ball. It's a good play style. Yeah, looking at their schedule, I mean, obviously you have an early season road trip to Kansas, obviously the darling of the 2022 season. The first 3, I mean, if you can split Kansas and Penn State, win one of those games, I think there's no reason that Illinois shouldn't be the favorite through 3 weeks of the season to make it to Indy. Honestly, it's a very favorable schedule. Obviously, considering the type of football offensively in Illinois plays. So I think tote the rock, shoe clock, and get to Indianapolis. That's the formula.
I can see it. I see 7 almost not with ease, but they should win 7 football games. So I go over here. I mean, Brandon, you got to agree, right?
I like it. I mean, realistically, I think there's a good chance 3 weeks in, they're 2-1. I mean, I think their toughest game they pull here is Penn State. They don't have to play Ohio State. They don't have to play Michigan. You're getting some favorable games here. Northwestern at home, Illinois at home, or Indiana, excuse me. That they would be playing themselves at home, but Indiana at home, those are 2 wins right there. Wisconsin, that'll be a good game. That's a winnable game. Probably drop that one, but Nebraska at home as well. Florida Atlantic, I don't know. I could see them getting up, 7-8 wins. Yeah, I like them. 7-8. I like them for the over. I think their schedule, looking at it right now, is pretty favorable. What they pulled for 2023.
I'm right there with you. Let's book them for the over then. And then moving over to Maryland, is the Tagovailoa still quarterback there? Is the glaring question I have. I think we looked it up and he is.
I believe.
That is huge. That's huge for them coming into this upcoming season. Then you look at their schedule. I mean, the non-conference, it's favorable, guys. Towson week 1, Charlotte week 2, Virginia week 3. They start 3-0, in my opinion. Virginia's down right now. That's 3 wins out the gate. At Michigan State, Michigan State's not all that. That's a winnable game. Indiana at home, winnable game. So let's say worst case through 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 3. They're 4-1 already. Then they go to Ohio State. That's a loss. Illinois could be a loss. Northwestern's a win. Rutgers is a win. They might hit right at 7. They could pull an upset here. They're a team that has fought to the end versus the big dogs. I might have them at 7-8 wins here. Noah, how do you feel? You think it's like a push, or you think they go 8?
Ooh, yeah, I think 7-5. I like push here, I think. Looking at
Okay.
the schedule, obviously the first 3, I agree with you, they're wins. Then you kind of get into the meat of the schedule a little bit. Michigan State on the road. Michigan State would be coming off of the Washington game. So if they were to pull the upset, I mean, it would be all-time confidence for Mel Tucker's squad. Yeah, then looking in after the bye, I mean, two pretty much losses, in my opinion, in Penn State and Michigan. But other than that, some very winnable games. I think I like them at 7-5.
Okay. Last year, the team went 8-5. Maryland did. They lost to Michigan, but it was 34-27. They beat the hell out of Michigan State last year, 27-13, and they fought to the end with Ohio State. So I don't know. 7-8, yeah. Push or 8 wins for me. That's where I'm at. How do you feel, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, like y'all are saying, the line is pretty good. I think I would agree with you. Probably 7 or 8. I don't know what we're feeling, if we want to say push or we just want to say over for the hell of it. But I mean, opening up definitely backloaded here, their schedule is, because they open up pretty good. And then, you get into your teams like Michigan State, Ohio State, and then the back half, there's a couple winnable games, a couple games you probably lose for sure. I think 7 is a good number, 7 or 8. It's just which one we want to go with, because I think it's definitely going to be one of those two.
I'll be honest. I like them at 8. I think they knock off Illinois at home. They host them. I think that, yeah. I think 8 wins for Maryland. They went 8-4 last year in the regular season, I want to say. Or they might have gone 7-5 and then they won the bowl, but they had 8 total wins. I could see him pulling 8 this year. I could see it. And the math will math when we get to Iowa. I have some thoughts for Iowa next. So,
all right.
You make the deciding vote here, Brandon. It won't hurt any feelings.
I'm cool with the over. I'm never mad at hammering the over.
Fair. I feel like it's a soft move to go for the push on one of these predictions.
Could be.
Let's go. Let's do it. All right. Next, we got the Iowa Hawkeyes. I don't know how the hell their win total is so high. That's all I wanted to say. I 7.5. I don't even have to look at that schedule I'm going under, but I'll take a glance at it. I mean, look, no, 8 wins would be over. That's insane for one of the worst offenses in college football. Insane, right? I just don't see it.
How many games did they win last season?
I think they somehow managed to have a winning record, but I could be wrong.
Hold on, let me look.
Yeah, let's take a glance at that. I mean, good Lord.
You can go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at their schedule a little bit. Utah State, I mean, I think they were kind of a middling Mountain West team last year. So
Iowa went 8-5 last year, guys. 8-5. The opener they beat. They have a low scoring team. Remember last year they beat South Dakota State 7-3. They lost 10-7 week 2. They could never score points. That was their issue. They lost to Illinois 9-6. Couldn't score for the life of them.
Yeah. They play a very, how do I say this politely? A very old brand of football.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we're gonna play. They're like Georgia without the offense. Like, we're gonna smother you on defense. We're gonna pressure the quarterback. And to their credit, it's worked. Looking at the schedule, obviously they have an away game at Happy Valley to play Penn State, but other than that, they avoid Michigan, they avoid Ohio State. Crazier things have happened. And I mean, 2 years ago, they went to Indy to play Michigan. So really, I was really firmly in the mix of it. I mean, looking at the projected win total, yeah, 7.5 seems like a little high if we really think about what team we're talking about, but they've done it before. I think I'm inclined to go, shit, man.
I just took a glance. I lean under at 6 wins for me.
I think I'm gonna go over, honestly.
Okay.
They just hang around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, y'all make me the tiebreaker. That's tough. tough. I mean, their defense is their bread and butter. Obviously, there's nothing going on offensively. Offensively, they're looking at their schedule last year. They had some real stinkers. They beat South Dakota State 7-3. They lost to Iowa State 7-10. Let's see what else. They lost to Illinois 6-9. All right, so they're gonna have some knock them down, drag them out games here. I think 7.5 is pretty good. I mean, looking at this, they're out of conference. You got Utah State. I think that's Western Michigan. I believe the Broncos. You get a loss in Penn State. Other than Penn State, though, they have a decently favorable schedule. Don't pull Michigan. Don't pull Ohio State. You're talking probably beating Rutgers, Illinois. That's tough. You're gonna be the tiebreaker.
I just think, they get into a game down the stretch where they have to score points, they're going down.
Yeah, I think to balance it out here, I might sit the under, but I have them probably at 7 or 8 wins.
Okay. Yeah.
Like
7, I think, is their ceiling.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One thing I got to say about Iowa is that if I had to pick between being waterboarded or watching Iowa offensive highlights, like in a supercut from last season, I'd pick the waterboarding.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't.
I'd take that 9 times out of 10. Yeah, that's
damn
brutal.
good deal.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We've got one that kind of perturbs me. Wisconsin, under first-year head coach Luke Fickell, 9 projected wins.
Wow.
High bar.
I mean, look at their schedule. It's doable. They only really pull Ohio State.
Very favorable.
That's a loss, so that's 11-1. I think they lose another game just because. That's 10-2. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
Pretty favorable, the schedule.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But even think about like the great teams with new head coaches, right? Like I think 2016 Georgia, they lost to Vandy. It's trying to get your guys mentally there. I just see him going 8-4. I just see him going 8-4.
Kirby was a first-time head coach. I mean, Luke Fickell's been there before.
Very true.
He knows how to conduct a program. So
I see they could lose to Wazoo. They could lose to Georgia Southern. I'm not just saying that. Like anything could happen. I look at their schedule right now. They go to Purdue. That's a tough one. They lose to Ohio State. They go to Minnesota to end. You never know what the weather's going to be like.
True.
I mean, really, could you see Wisconsin going 9-3 in their first year? I can't. I have them at 8-4 best. How do you feel, Noah?
I could see them doing it. I could see 9-3 from Wisconsin just because, like, obviously Luke Fickell, great head coach, obviously a great hire for Wisconsin, considering, what they've had the past, decade or so. I think, honestly, I'm looking at the first 4 games. Like, the season is an abject failure if you're anything less than 4-0 through those first 4 games. First year head coach or not. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you got Buffalo, you got Wazoo, Georgia Southern, and then Purdue. Like, Purdue, you maybe could get surprised by Purdue because they've been known to do that to people. But I honestly think anything fewer than 9 wins is a disappointment with Luke Fickell at the helm. Do we know who the quarterback is?
I do not.
Unsure of that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, either way, Wisconsin, they've always been one of those, run the ball type programs, and they'll find a way to win 9 games with this schedule, only having Ohio State as their, big opponent. So I lean push or over here. I'm not confident in saying that they'll have double-digit wins, but I like a ceiling of 9 wins. So because it's 9, I would say under. I like them at 8 or 9 wins.
Okay.
Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, unless we're going to push here, I have a hard time sitting here and saying that Wisconsin's going to win 10 games next season, personally. But, outside of that, looking at their schedule, outside of Ohio State, I think every other game is winnable. I think they have a shot in every other game they play in. Obviously, I don't think they're going to make it to 10 wins. I think there's an outside chance, but I don't think I could sit here just yet and say Luke Fickell first year at Wisconsin's winning 10 games. But I think their schedule is favorable, and I could definitely see them 8-9 wins. So
Yeah, so my vote is under.
I guess
like
we'll
under.
throw it under because I'm not a fan of calling it a push.
Mhm.
I think that's
Yeah,
lame. That's kind of
yeah,
lame, kind of a cop out. So let's
I
go
agree.
under there.
That's fair with me. All right, now we're down to the three you guys really came to hear us talk about: Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. Starting with the Nittany Lions of Penn State. I look at that schedule and I think to myself one thing: if this is going to be the year with James Franklin, this might just be the damn year for them. I think they start out hot. They're undefeated when they go and play Ohio State, and that's a dogfight. I mean, flip a coin, damn near. And then I look at the back half. They host Michigan. Michigan State's very winnable. I see them going worst case 10-2. So I have them at 10 wins for the Nittany Lions. Brandon, I'm tossing it over to you, man.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, like you said, they have a pretty easy stretch going. I mean, I don't even because I just have the logo schedule up. I can't even tell who that is they're playing the second week. But you go up until Ohio State, they should be undefeated. If they've lost a game before Ohio State in week 8, I think that's a failure for them. There's been a pretty high standard with Penn State recently. They're kind of always right there. They just can't get over that hurdle. So I
Right.
kind of agree with you. I think this might be the year. So I think, realistically, they should probably be favored to win every game except Michigan and Ohio State. And it's a matter of if they split though, if they're able to pull one of those off. So there's 2 losses for sure right there. They could drop another. I don't know. I could definitely see them going 10-2, like you said. I feel like that's definitely something that's within the realm of possibility, whether it's they drop games to Michigan and Ohio State or split those games and drop another game. I could definitely see them winning 10 games.
Noah, you're the deciding factor here, it seems. It seems to be already set, but we just want to have your
Yeah.
input anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm looking through this, and I think you're absolutely right. I mean, looking at Penn State teams from the past, honestly, ever since Saquon and Trace McSorley were there, what's been holding back Penn State? I mean, some could argue James Franklin himself, but 9 times out of 10, people will say the quarterback. So getting this 5-star Drew Aller in there, Aller, whatever, getting him in there, I think is it sets this season up to be a real prove it year for Franklin and his staff. And if they disappoint and lose I would say more than 2 games, anything less than 10 wins is probably a failure. And you're looking at Franklin going on the hot seat at the very least, if not fired, because the standards at a program like Penn State, like how long are they going to wait? If not now, then when? Essentially,
Mark Richt effect, right?
yeah,
Yep.
that's the question. That's the question we had entering 2021 with Kirby. If not now, then when? So it looks as though on paper that they're ready to contend with Michigan and Ohio State. I think they do. I honestly, if I had to guess right now, at least I hope they split 1 or 2, like beat Michigan, lose to Ohio State, or vice versa. I like the over though for their win total. I think they win
Yep.
10 games.
They're going to be a fun team this year for sure. And then there were 2, and the 2 that spark debate every year: Ohio State and Michigan. And we start with the Buckeyes, projected win total 10.5. You look at that schedule. That is a gauntlet in terms of the Big Ten. In terms of college football, that's a gauntlet. I mean, They go to Notre Dame. Notre Dame is not the same. They're a better team than they were last year. They've got Sam Hartman, possible Heisman winner. They go to Purdue. We've seen Purdue have their number before. They go to Michigan to end the season. Michigan's had their number lately. They play Penn State. They go to Wisconsin. I'll be completely honest. I think they split Notre Dame, Michigan somehow. They could lose both games, though.
Yeah.
Actually, I could see them losing both. I could see them going 9-3. Come at me, Buckeyes. I'm here. I see them going possibly 9-3. They got a new QB in the house. This could be a transition year for the Buckeyes.
Sure.
Honestly, I don't see them coming out of South Bend with a win. I don't. I also, history's shown it the past few years, Michigan's had their number. You go to their house this year. You couldn't do it last year. All the talk was Ohio State's going to win at home. They're going to beat them. They got whooped. They go there. Harbaugh's had Ryan Day's number. That's 2 losses. That's the under. Say they split Notre Dame, Michigan. They lose another game on that schedule. That's 10 wins. I have them under. Noah.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. I want to go back to something you mentioned, that that Penn State game, the week before, they got Purdue on the road. If you want to upset a team, a good way to do it is catch them in a look-ahead spot. And if Penn State, moving over to Penn State, their schedule, if they're undefeated entering that Ohio State game, you might that might just be a recipe for disaster for Ohio State and at Purdue. So you never know what'll happen. But looking at the rest of the schedule, I think you're right about South Bend. I think that's going to be one hell of an atmosphere in week 4. I don't know if Notre Dame has enough to knock off Ohio State, but I think I'm going to pencil in Ohio State to lose one of Notre Dame or Penn State. So I think they lose one of the two. Thus, I think you're right though. They could win or they could lose multiple games this season. It could be a kind of a reload type year for them.
What you think Michigan has their number again this year or no?
I do, honestly, just because of the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm.
And Corum's coming back. Obviously, Michigan we'll get into in a second, but I just think they have their number now. I think the tide has kind of changed.
Yeah. 10-2 Ohio State. People are going to be real upset about that if that's the case. 9-3, people will want Ryan Day fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about born on third.
Now on first.
Not on first, on third base. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm just echoing what y'all said. I mean, I find it hard to believe that Ohio State doesn't drop a couple games here. I mean, I didn't realize they went to South Bend. So you got Notre Dame, you got Penn State, you got Michigan. At least they're losing at least one of those games, at least. I think Michigan, like I said, like y'all were saying, I think Michigan kind of has their number now. Tide's kind of turned there. I think Michigan has got them this year. I penciled them in for a loss there. And like y'all were saying, between Penn State and Notre Dame, I think they drop one. So I think we're looking at 10 wins or less here. And then if it's less than 10 wins, I'd be curious to see what the situation with Ryan Day is like. We'll have to see. But
I seriously think they consider firing him.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, honestly, with that fan base, if they come out of this next season with less than 10 wins, it's not going to be pretty.
Who would they
honestly,
turn to?
I'll be honest. They go 11-0 and lose to Michigan, people will want them out.
That's true.
Yeah.
Who would they turn to if they move on?
I don't even know.
If Urban's available.
Try and poach someone from like Kansas, maybe Leipold, someone like a young, not a young guy, but a coach who's had a good year. Maybe try and poach TCU's guy. I don't see him leaving Sonny Dykes, but who knows? Who knows? Yeah, so we're going under with the Buckeyes. Call it crazy, but Michigan, they got this campaign going, guys. The Wolverines, they're bringing back some guys. Now Harbaugh's proven he can get to the playoff, but he hasn't proven to win in the playoff. I look at Michigan's schedule, and I think in terms of the big dogs of CFB this year, it's one of the easier ones. Michigan and Georgia, two that come to mind. There's no reason Michigan should not be 9-0 when they go to Penn State. They should be undefeated when they go to Penn State. And frankly, they should probably win that game. I think Michigan should go 11-1, 12-0. I don't really even think that's crazy to say. Like, they are one of the most talented rosters coming back this year. I like them over. I think 11-1. They could split, Penn State, Ohio State, and that'd be 11-1. So have them at the over. I'm tossed to you, Brandon.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, looking at their schedule now, front half is pretty laughable. The opening of their schedule. I mean, I can't really say much as a Georgia fan, but like you were saying, a pretty favorable schedule here. I mean, I think at worst, looking at this, they split Ohio State and Penn State, and that's 11 wins. I can't really, outside of those two games, I can't really see them. They might get in a close game, down the stretch or early on in the season, looking back last year, like a Georgia-Missouri kind of game. But I think they pull it out against one of those opponents. I don't know. I think they sit 11 or 12 wins, honestly. I mean, this schedule is not tough at all outside of Penn State and Ohio State.
They probably go back to the playoff. It's just a matter of, can they get past the semifinal? What do you think, Noah?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at their schedule outside of the TCU game, obviously. The only team that really gave them a 4-quarter game last season was Illinois, and they did it by controlling the tempo, chewing the clock, running the football. Looking at their schedule this year, I really don't see any team that, at least right now, can do that consistently. Maybe, as we get down to towards the end of the season, one of these teams, a Penn State emerges that can do that and can, kind of keep that Michigan offense off the field, because they're bringing back a lot of guys. But I think the key to beating Michigan, give them a limited clock and make them beat you through the air. A lot of their wide receivers, at least through spring, I have not heard very good things. Like, they're very thin at receiver. So I think if there's a team that could, that's how you do it. Limit their ability to move the ball on the ground, make them throw it. But looking at their schedule, sneaky week 12, Maryland, kind of between two expected, rougher opponents for Michigan. You never know. They got a Tagovailoa coming back, so they could catch them. You never know. But honestly, 11-1, 12-0 for Michigan, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how we've kind of witnessed the changing of the guard for the Big Ten. It was always Ohio State. Now, the past 2 years and possibly 3, Michigan's the top dog over there. And there's no denying that. Ohio State fans will try and say, no, we're still the top dog. Prove it. Beat Michigan. You lose 3 years in a row to Michigan, something's got to give. And we'll see what happens in the upcoming 2023 season. But that's pretty much going to do it for our 2023 Big Ten projected win totals predictions video. Looking like Michigan's going to be the top dog, but it's going to come down to the game. I'm telling you right now. And I'll tell you this, we could have a little round robin scenario with those top 3 teams where like they each kind of take turns beating each other, and it could be some weird tie scenario. I hope that's not the case, but it would make for some fun, entertaining college football. But ladies and gentlemen, that will do it. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to hit the like button, comment down below who's winning the Big Ten, your predictions for these projected win totals, all that and more, and follow along on all of our social medias for more clips and extra content from our episodes. Again, all that is linked down below in the description. You can check that out. Thank you all so much for watching. We're going to be doing this with all the conferences, so stay tuned for Pac-12, ACC, and Big 12 in the following weeks. We'll probably announce, that on our community tab or social media as for what you guys can expect. But thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.